The fallout stretched all the way from Sydney to Seoul, and it came in the form of another rebuke for Australia's big banks. In South Korea for G20 leaders meeting, the Prime Minister condemned the ANZ's interest rate move as arrogant, and she's predicted another customer backlash. But the row has turned the spotlight on the government itself, which once again appears powerless to keep the banks in line.
In the South Korean capital, the streets have been swept, the leaders have arrived, and the Prime Minister has held her first meeting with the host. The world's financial system gets top billing at this G20 summit, but it's the movements at home complicating Julia Gillard's trip away.
The Australian people will be angry. I think the ANZ Bank will experience the same degree of anger that the Commonwealth Bank did as a result of its conduct on Melbourne Cup Day.
The ANZ's rate hike of 39 basis points flies in the face of government warnings, so the reaction was predictable.
The banks don't care what the Australian community thinks. That's the real problem. They're not listening to their customers, they're not listening to the Australian community.
And they're not listening to the government either. It's a point the opposition is desperate to reinforce.
Wayne Swan has been very, very angry more than 30 times now at the banks which have raised interest rates in excess of the reserve, but they don't take any notice of him.
The government's relying on its stronger rules against mortgage exit fees. The corporate watchdog is out to show some teeth on that question, telling the banks they can charge mortgage customers a set-up fee or an exit fee, but they can't do both.
We want to ensure that people can walk out the door, go down the road and get a better deal if they're not getting the deal they want from their banks. We've put in place a range of reforms and we will put in place more.
At the G20, the push is on for tighter capital requirements for banks, but Australia is against it for fear of driving costs even higher.
We don't want Australian banks to have any excuse from these new financial rules to excuse their arrogant conduct in putting up interest rates above and beyond Reserve Bank movements.
A stern message from Fraulein Gillard. In Seoul, Australia's leader looks suspiciously Austrian. Hayden Cooper, ABC News, Canberra.